It's Friday, January 12th, 2024, and this is the Talk Film Society podcast. I am your co-host of this, Marcelo Pico. With me, as always for this awards season series, is my co-host, Siobhan Irving. Hello, Siobhan.
What's up, Marcelo? I'm so happy to be back in the groove with you, you know?
We're back in the saddle again.
Back in the saddle again. We took that break and now we're back to it. This is the second week back. And so it's we're here every single week, just you and I talking about the awards.
That's
and
right.
I love this. This is my favorite part of the week where I just sit down with my friend Marcelo and him and I and nobody else just hash out what are our thoughts on the awards.
Because who needs other opinions? To add more opinions to this would just muddle the... Oh, sorry. Hold on.
Yeah, it would muddle the hoe.
Muddle the whole experience is what I was going to say, but I stopped myself because I just realized, wait a second. I have in my notes here guests for this week. I'm gonna turn to the left. Nobody there. I'm gonna turn to the right.
No.
Oh,
What?
I'm not. Hold on. I see them here. They're right here with us.
There's two figures standing in the shadows.
Two fingers in the corner in the shadows. Hey. Those two fingers in the shadows come out of the shadows, much like the Ninja Turtles. Wait, is that? Hold on.
Ninja Turtles come out of the shadows. That's what you say to summon them.
That's totally accurate, bro.
Oh my God, it's Michelangelo.
I wish.
I'm Raphael, of course. My favorite as a kid, honestly.
Perfect Raphael impression. Yeah. No, we're kidding around. It's Thomas and Bryan from Cinema to the Letter. Hello.
Hello.
Now, I always do this because I listen to podcasts sometimes, and I'm like, who's talking? Who's who? Just for anybody who doesn't know, Thomas, say hello.
Hello, all of you lovely people out there.
Okay. I forgot we did this last time, too. That's Thomas. And Bryan, say hello.
Hidley ho, neighbor, you know.
There you go. Perfect. Woo. All right, Siobhan.
Okay, so we've got these guys here. Marcelo, did you invite them or something?
I did invite them.
What is this?
We're still doing the bit.
Wow.
Yeah,
you totally blindsided me.
I did, yeah. Hey, speaking of Oscars, The Blind Side.
Hey, it's a nice surprise. I like these two. I remember all the fun times we've had together.
Yeah, because they were guests on, and I like how you're talking about them like they're not here. Gran Turismo, we had them on that episode.
I'd rather not talk to them. I want to talk to you.
Okay.
Because that's just what I'm used to. Remember, I talk to you.
Just look at them. Just look them in the eye and treat them as human beings.
God, you said they were to the right, right?
No, wait, did I say that? Yeah, to the right.
Yeah,
they're to the right.
Hi.
Now, we all said hello. Now, this is it, Siobhan. It's a 4-person episode this week. We have 2 guests. We're all going to be talking about the Oscars and the awards and the Goldies. They just happened.
Oh, the Goldies.
We got to talk about
The Goldie Hawn Awards. I'm very excited to talk about them.
Honoring the best Goldie Hawn of the year. Now, before we dive into all that, before we get into our classic segments, we're in it. We're in the first segment. Who are we? Now, let's go to Bryan first. Hello, Bryan.
Yeah.
Again.
Hello.
I need to know who these people are.
You know who these people are. You've talked to them before. And also, you were a guest on their show.
Bryan. Okay, yeah, we're going to Bryan first. Bryan, I hear you're a Radiohead fan.
I am a massive Radiohead fan. I have been since high school, and they just continue to be maybe my favorite band of all time.
Oh,
I appreciate that.
Bryan, can I ask you this? Have you? I'm assuming, or I'm hoping, you've seen them live. Yes.
I have never seen them live.
Oh.
I kind of became a fan around A Moon-Shaped Pool, which was the last album they've put out, and so now they've reached that if you want to see them, you got to pay $50,000 or whatever to go see them in New York or London or whatever. So I have never seen them live.
I guess I got lucky because I live here in Austin, and I used to go to the Austin. Hold on, I live in Austin. I forgot what it's called. ACL. I go to ACL. Music Fest. I used to go. Now I'm older and wiser, It's a young man's game. But Radiohead played there, and I managed to see them live there. So I did not mean to rub it in. I hope you get to see them live, Brian. I'm sorry.
Me too.
So okay, Siobhan, I broke Brian's heart just now. Just pointing out the fact that he hasn't seen his favorite band live. So how can I break Thomas's heart?
It's cold and black. You can't break it.
Siobhan, you want to ask Thomas a question?
Yeah. Okay. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So Brian's a big Radiohead fan. I've heard. How about okay, Tommy? What I've heard about you is you saw the movie Gran Turismo from True Story.
I might be repeating myself from this show, but yes, I did see that theatrically.
Excellent.
Cool.
No, Thomas, what the fuck? What's your deal?
What's your deal? What's
Tommy Marinara.
Exactly how all my therapy appointments start.
The leather boys. We're talking to the leather boys.
Yeah,
some stuff.
Cinema to the leather, as Siobhan likes to call them.
Well, that's that's for the new Patreon tier we got to come up with our leather daddy,
Leather daddy
side of things. Yes.
Thomas, I have a question, and this
Yes.
this has been on my mind since we're wrapping up the year, or we did wrap up the year, and we're still talking about the year 2023 here. In our Discord, which is where, Siobhan?
You can go to talkfilmsociety.com/discord. A lot of people in there talking about films.
Mm-hmm. There is a channel in there that gathers up all the letterbox.
The leather boys on Letterboxd.
Letterboxd is my favorite logging site, but it's not what you think it is.
Slip of the tongue. Letterboxed entries. And I remember you, Thomas, saying, I'd rather not share my entries because I watch too many movies, maybe more than you, Marcelo. So I'm going to call you out here, Thomas. I don't know this. How many movies did you see last year?
Well, if you go by at least all the loggings I did on Letterboxd, it was apparently like 999, and I'm not exaggerating.
God,
yeah.
Holy fuck, dude.
Yeah.
What?
God damn it.
Thomas. I was not familiar with your game, dude. God damn.
It's a terrible game to play. No one wins that game.
Because I do wonder about that, about the joys of fitting in so many movies in one year. My highest number was, I think, 620 last year, but 900. Follow-up question, Thomas.
Keep in mind, I log a lot of bullshit that most people probably wouldn't log. Like, there are short films on there, there are TV specials.
Okay.
Like, all the weird shit where you're like, why the fuck is this here? Thomas is like, yes, I logged it.
Like making of documentaries on DVDs.
I say why not? You pump those numbers. Do it.
Look, there are times when I go onto Letterboxd, I open the app, and I see that Thomas has watched something, and I'm like, what is this? What on God's earth is he watching tonight?
Every conversation with Brian inevitably is like, so I watched this weird random bullshit that you've never heard of.
And you know what? I must respect it, though. I have to say.
All respect to Thomas for 900 some odd movies you watched last year, and also to Brian for being a big Radiohead fan. Now, that's segment one. No, part one of segment one. This is part two of segment one. The big question: awards. Okay, gonna go to you, Brian. How do you feel about the awards season overall? Are you enjoying this time of the year, or are you already sick to death of it?
No, I love this time of the year. I mean, I don't care for the Globes in particular, which we'll get to, I'm sure. Perfect. Yeah, no, I love award season. It's nice to see kind of, especially all the movies that are coming out, especially all the exciting big movies, and just to get to see like fun, red carpet videos and pictures and stuff of like all our favorite actors and everyone. It's really fun. I never really get tired of it until I like log on to Twitter and just see what people are arguing about on there. But no, I love it.
Yeah, it's especially today for some reason. Today was interminable because it's the same like three movies people are talking about, running the movies into the ground. Like, okay, enough about your takes on Barbie and May December and Saltburn. I don't care. I've already made my opinion. I just want to watch the awards where I can see Rosamund Pike and Greta Gerwig and Julianne Moore on the red carpet. Leave me alone. Anyway, that's another segment of the show. It's me on my soapbox, so I'm going to step down. Turn to you, Thomas. Thomas.
Oh, wow, you're much shorter when you're off that soapbox.
I'm 4 foot tall. Thomas, awards. You? Question mark?
I mean, I appreciate the award season more from, like, you know, a kind of passive side thing where it's like, as a movie fan, they're technically sort of like our, you know, competitive sports season, as it were. There was a time when I was younger where I was like, I can't believe this didn't get nominated or this didn't win or whatever. And now it's just like, well, I don't know. Let the Academy do their thing, because I like the idea that every award season is sort of just like a timestamp of what the sort of the industry is at that particular time to some degree, like what we're awarding, what we're not, all this other stuff. I find it fascinating as sort of like a weird timestamp thing to go back to, because I love going back and seeing like old Oscar history. It's like, oh, what the fuck is this thing in this one in this category? That's weird. So it's interesting, but it's not necessarily like the end all be all that some people try to make it out to be.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Good answer. Now, Siobhan, I'm going to turn to you. How do you feel about the Oscars and the award season, Siobhan?
Oh, I love the glitz and the glamour in the films. Now, this does really give me... I like this time of year for a few reasons. It reminds me... It just kind of brings me back to being a kid and getting Entertainment Weekly and reading through it and, like, getting excited about all the movies that I'd be reading about. And like wanting to watch them, but like a majority of them were out of my hands. I could not see them. But I'd be like, oh my God, these must be so good. And, and then watching the ceremony with my mom, like I have good memories of that. And then like these days, the best I get out of it really is like
this podcast.
Yeah. And then also, I mean, legitimately, yes. I get to talk to really cool people like Brian and Tommy. And then I've got it gives me the chance and the motivation to watch a lot of stuff from the year that like I didn't necessarily hear about that much, or maybe wouldn't have watched otherwise if it weren't getting this attention right now. And that's for stuff that is getting nominated and for the snubs and flubs that people are really talking about from like their favorite year-end lists, you know? Like it gives me time and motivation to be like, yo, let's watch some of these good movies that I hear about.
That's maybe the most succinct answer, the best answer you've given on this show, Siobhan.
I want to show up for the Leather Boys. I want to do my best.
Now, Siobhan, do you think we've gotten to know Thomas and Bryan? Do you think this segment is done? Is there anything else we need to know before we go on?
I'm happy. I'm satisfied.
Okay, all right. I'm happy too. I think we can move on.
You wanted a joke out of me, probably.
Never. This is serious.
Hey guys.
Waiting for it.
Did you guys watch wrestling?
No.
I used to when I was a kid, but not anymore.
I'm gonna leave that dead silence in there. Just
Thomas is dead. No.
Hey, I have a question for you.
No, wait. This applies to the show. What do you think of Oliver Stone?
I think he's an incredibly fascinating figure, and I can't wait to see who he interviews next.
Brian, what do you think?
I've only seen like 2 of his movies, I think. I've never really deep dived into Oliver Stone, to be honest. I saw that Snowden movie in theaters, though, and it was awful.
Oh, God, no, that's not one of the 2 to see.
What are the 2 to see, Siobhan?
Oh, the 2? JFK and Natural Born Killers. Those are your 2.
Yeah.
Oh, he did that. I've seen that one. Yeah, okay.
Which one, Natural Born Killers?
Natural Born Killers, yeah. I forgot that I had seen that recently.
We covered JFK on this show. I think that was the first episode, Siobhan, of this season.
It was best editing.
Best editing, yeah. And I don't think I was gonna say I don't think I've told you this, Siobhan. I did just buy a Natural Born Killers on 4K. That might be my final Best Buy purchase. I had to use up my gift cards before they closed shop with physical media, so I bought Oppenheimer and Natural Born Killers a few weeks ago. I'm eager to see that again. Maybe I'll talk about that on the show in a future segment. But yeah, all right, we can move on to the next segment, which is the news. Okay, big news. The only news really worth talking about: the Golden Globes. Where do we even start? Siobhan? Golden Globes?
The Golden Globes. The big awards, the ones that we look forward to every year. Awarding television excellence in television and film.
Why don't we get to it, Siobhan? Give it a grade. A letter
thoughts
grade.
on the telecast?
On the telecast overall.
We're going to give that a solid D.
D. Okay. Thomas? Wait, hold on. I'm going to ask the guest.
Our guests. I forget they're here. I'm talking to you.
You're having too much fun. Well, first off, Thomas, did you watch the Globes?
I did.
Okay. Brian, did you watch them?
I did not. Okay, I decided to catch up on memes instead.
You know what? You made the right call. the memes were all spot on.
Catch up on my memes feels like a version of catch up on my stories for our generation. Just I got catch up on my memes.
Thomas, give it a grade score. The telecast itself, Golden Globes.
I'll be a bit more charitable than Siobhan and say a D+.
Okay, D+. And I'll give it a C.
Wow, you loved them.
No, I still don't think that's a good score. It's still...
Well, Marcelo kept texting us about I love Joe Coy.
Joe Coy.
He's so great. He's so wonderful.
He's killing it. Yeah,
such a good host.
Now, I didn't mention this in the Who Are We segment, but I've been watching award shows since '98, the Titanic year, which I think is a flagship year for a lot of people in terms of Oscar viewers.
Flagship.
Thank you, Siobhan. Good input. Joe Coy may be the worst ever. Worst host I've ever seen of any award show. Now,
hold on.
Okay, go ahead, Siobhan.
I'll say the worst host I've ever seen. I think this was the Emmys. They had the best reality show host category. They had all 5 hosts host. It was Heidi Klum, Howie Mandel, Jeff Probst.
Now, I do...
Terrible.
So you think that was bad? Do you think that was worse than this?
Yeah, that was bad, yeah, and worse than this, yes.
No, well, okay.
Joe Coy just did bad jokes. His jokes didn't land. He's not... You need somebody that people... you need a bigger... I mean, Joe Coy's big, but I don't know. You need somebody bigger, don't you? Or funnier at the minute.
I mean, you know what? I can say this much. As someone who survived watching the 2012 Oscars, which I believe is the one where it's Hathaway and Franco.
Oh, good.
Oh, yeah.
That's bad.
That one is especially upsetting just because one person is trying so hard and one person is giving negative effort. So that's so much worse of an experience.
But, okay, in my defense of my incredibly hyperbolic statement, it's... I think I did see that the Emmys with those reality TV show hosts, the thing that made it watchable is they were professionals and they were hosts of their own shows. So at least it was very bland and very this is a reality this is basically our response to reality TV shows being popular. We'll just give you one for 2 hours or 3 hours, as a ceremony. Sure, fine, whatever. The Hathaway Franco year at the Oscars, like you said, Thomas, I think Hathaway gave it her best shot. I love her a lot. Franco's a piece of shit, so there's that. But with Joe Coy, every time he was on screen, I wanted him off screen.
Oh God, yeah.
There's no redeeming quality there. There's nothing there that made me think he should have been a host.
Let's go to a different comedian they had there that night, who presented Ricky Gervais with a great award. Jim Gaffigan, like
Yeah.
he was able to hold the audience, tell some pretty good jokes. I thought, like he said something, I could never make it as an actor because I'm not a pedophile. Like I think that was a good joke.
That's a good joke.
And he was able to hold the audience and get them to laugh. Joe Coy could not do that. The audience did not give a shit about him.
Yeah.
And I think maybe Jim Gaffigan should have been the host, but what do I know?
Or they just should have went no host. Like I think they like.
He was upstaged by the like actor bits.
Yeah.
Which is like, that should not be.
No. Yeah, and I mean, and especially when, like, the Golden Globes don't have, like, a high bar, right? Like, we're not expecting masterfulness from the Golden Globes necessarily, but when you have the audacity to just literally say, like, hey, look, I got the job 10 days ago, I didn't write, all the jokes that you're laughing at are the ones I wrote. I didn't write all these, like, shit like that. Yeah, that's where it gets to be, like, that's where I can feel sort of the...
All the writers on this, they're fucking hacks, man.
Right.
Shit's good.
Yeah, so it's that kind of desperation that was on screen live on TV that I'm like, no, I don't want this. Get this away from me. Luckily, I think everything else sort of worked in terms of the Golden Globes. I enjoyed the speeches. Some of the right people did win. Bradley Cooper didn't win anything. So overall, my night was it went pretty well with the Globes. What about I'll go to you, Siobhan. In terms of the winners, what's your big takeaway? Again, I should have said this at the Who Are We segment. This is a scientific show. This is us picking the winners, going through the season. We're going to make you, the listener, better. At picking the winners for your Oscar pools. You're going to win that big money. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800, stop gambling, whatever. Blah, blah, blah. But here, we're going to help you win. Okay, we're prognosticators now. It's official. Siobhan, the results, the winners. How does the race shake up?
I can't remember ever being too surprised, I guess. And I can't remember... too many specifics.
Okay.
Paul Giamatti winning, that was nice, but again, kind of not the big surprise. What else?
I can go through some of them as my page loads, because I'm on my iPad, which is tricky. As my page loads, I'll go to Brian. I mean, you didn't see the show, but the winners. I mean, do you even care about the winners at the Golden Globes?
I cared a little bit, mainly just because. It's nice to see these people get, an award and recognition and, get to get, absolutely shit-faced at an award show. Like, that's cool. I wasn't really surprised either. And maybe this is just because, this is kind of the weird award season where, I don't really hate or even dislike most of the movies that were kind of nominated. But every, win was, pretty acceptable, I guess I would say. I was like, yeah, that deserves to win. They deserve to win. But I'm kind of much lined up with Thomas of just I don't really. The Globes are kind of it's basically a glorified paperweight, right? It's not the most prestigious award or anything. But I was happy to see getting to see Paul Giamatti win and Lily Gladstone and Divine Joy Randolph win. It's nice. It's nice.
Thomas, your thoughts on the winners and also the losers, if you want to add those in there too.
Well, based on my own scientific research, I think the TV series Succession will win Best Picture. I mean, it's clear just how many awards it racked up. But no, I generally agree. I thought that most of the winners were pretty solid. I'm at least glad that, some of the speeches when people went up there, like Lily Gladstone's speech or Giamatti's speech, were quite good. And I'm not somebody who also thinks the Golden Globes immediately make an indicator for the Oscars. If you look at all back on history, that is very much not the case. But it's kind of sort of the primer. It's the opening act for the award season that comes out and, this kind of maybe predicts a few things, maybe doesn't. So I don't know. I'm not going to put huge stake in any of these people potentially winning, aside from probably Robert Downey Jr. Like, that's feels like the most absolute obvious thing, like best supporting actor. Like, all the constellations like lined up, I think, for him to win an Oscar later in March. But otherwise, yeah, I think it's still up in the air. We gotta see how the SAG ones go and the
That's right.
PGA and stuff like that.
SAG nominations. When this episode drops, they'll be out. But as of this recording, it's they're announcing them tomorrow morning. I think on Wednesday. It's Tuesday right now. I'll go through some of the winners. I'm not gonna go through them all. Mostly just for Siobhan's sake. As a reminder, Siobhan, here we go. Winners for Golden Globes: Best Picture Drama, Oppenheimer; Best Picture Musical or Comedy, Poor Things; Best Animated, The Boy and the Heron; Best Cinematic and Box Office Achievement, Barbie, which I think it's a waste of a category. Why do this? But I'm glad Barbie won something. I'm glad Margot and Greta were on stage. I'm happy for that. I'm happy that happened. So,
the little movie that could.
Especially when somebody quantified it, where it's like, well, by this logic, if Barbie wins because it was like the highest grossing movie of the year, then that means there's no suspense to the award if they keep doing this. It's just whatever is like the highest grossing movie of the year wins.
Next year, Deadpool 3 wins.
Oh, good lord.
Oh, God.
I'll continue on. Best Motion Picture Non-Language, Anatomy of a Fall.
Oh, Marcel, I think he slipped up. I think you mean next year, Joker, Fully Ado.
Hell yeah.
My apologies. Best Performance by Male Actor, Drama, Siobhan's boy, Cillian Murphy. You won.
Killy.
With lipstick on his nose.
Oh yeah. He gets his brand. He knows that people think he's hot as fuck, and that he's cute, and they're gonna make fan cams out of him. That lipstick thing, that was for the fans.
That was for you, Siobhan. Best Performance by Female Drama, Lily Gladstone. Female in Comedy, Emma Stone. And Paul Giamatti, male actor in comedy. Robert Downey Jr., male actor in supporting. Supporting female, Devon Joy Randolph. Again, yeah, some of these are just like very like, yes, some of these are the front runners.
Poor Things was kind of interesting.
Poor Things was a bit of a surprise. Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's. I am in agreement. This isn't really a huge, like, it can be a sign of things to come, but sometimes it's whatever. I was at least happy last year to see Steven Spielberg, win for The Fabelmans. I think he won Best Director or Best Drama. Either one. He made a good speech, and then like The Fabelmans gets nothing at the Oscars. So. It's a good opening act for this award season. Screenplay, Anatomy of a Fall, which is a little bit of a surprise. I was expecting either Oppenheimer or Killers of the Flower Moon to win screenplay. Did I mention director Chris Nolan? He won. There we go. Original song, What Was I Made For by Billie Eilish. Score, Ludwig Göransson for Oppenheimer. And then a bunch of TV. But yeah, who cares about that? Although Succession, hey, those wins. I love Succession. It's my favorite show from last year. So
we love Suggestion.
Let me ask you this, Thomas. Of the major awards contenders, here, let me play this game. So there are going to be 10 Best Picture nominees at the Oscars this year. How many do you think you will have seen before the nominees are announced?
I'll say 8 of them, probably, because I've seen most of the front runners again.
Mm-hmm. Brian, same question.
I want to be bold and say all of them, but I'll say 9, because I feel like it'll be one of the ones that like hasn't come out yet, like Zone of Interest, which hasn't really come out widely.
Nobody's seen that.
Right, yeah. So I'm going to say 9.
9. Siobhan, I think we
joke about Marcelo seeing it last day.
Yeah, I did see it yesterday. Siobhan, I think I asked you this question. I think we kind of went over it last episode.
5 or 6. I probably have like 5 or 6 on me.
Mm-hmm, yeah. What are some of the big ones or that you're missing, Thomas? Which ones haven't you seen?
I haven't seen Zone of Interest yet. I haven't seen All of Us Strangers yet, which I saw was at least nominated. I don't know if it's going to get Oscar stuff because it feels a bit like lower on the totem pole. But yeah, I guess it's like some of the, the ones like Brian mentioned that haven't really opened wide I haven't seen.
Now, Brian mentioned something, and I also made a joke about it, but there's always a villain in my book for the Oscars, or for this award season, or for any award season, right? I've made mine clear. Mine is Maestro. That's the villain this year. Is there one that you have, Brian? That's and if you're too afraid to say it, you don't need to. Okay. But is there one that's like on the bottom of your list that like, okay, a lot of people like and it's getting awards, but you're not a big fan of?
I mean, I guess the only one, and I don't think it's like a big Oscar contender, but I think it's like, it's certainly vying for like the Oscars, and it did get a few Golden Globe nominations, but fucking Saltburn is my like mortal enemy this award season. Which, I mean, I thought was awful, but I don't know, even though I'm at least glad to see like Barry Keoghan getting a nomination and stuff like that, which I think the performances are great, but it is my mortal enemy this award season.
It's funny because I think last episode, was the last episode, Siobhan, where I'm like, yeah, I love Saltburn. Screw all the haters. I maintain that position. But yeah,
go ahead, this last week I watched an hour of Saltburn. I liked it a lot. We just couldn't finish it at the time.
Well, I hope you finish it. I hope for that review here on the show soon enough. Thomas, same question. Who's your villain of the year?
I mean, I would have said probably Maestro, but everyone's being so mean to Bradley Cooper. I just like everyone's being. I didn't like that movie that much necessarily, but at the same time, just like leave him alone. Leave the multimillionaire, incredibly handsome writer, director, actor alone. But I think I'm more in the camp with Brian of like I also really disliked Saltburn quite a bit, and it feels definitely like everything I kind of don't want to win necessarily in terms of like an attempted Oscar push kind of movie.
Interesting. Well, I'll say it here. I hope Saltburn gets a Best Picture nomination.
And I hope when Emerald Fennell wins, she specifically thanks Thomas and Bryan.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say there is no like Don't Look Up this year, which is truly one of the worst movies ever at the Oscars. You know, like with mine with Maestro, it's for me it's bad, but it's not like truly terrible. Like, Don't Look Up or dare I say Joker, where I didn't care for that one at all.
Go fuck yourself.
Hey,
fuck off, buddy.
All right.
Yeah, here I'll tell you my villain.
I was gonna go to you, Siobhan. Go ahead.
I'm gonna say two actually. But
Cheater.
The Holdovers.
Okay, yeah.
Strongly disliked the movie.
Fair.
Felt very trite, and just Payne has done better work, and Payne is a bad person in general. I don't want to award anything associated with him, even if it's Paul Giamatti. I'm sorry. Or Divine Joy Randolph. Don't work with that guy. Don't sign up to work with that guy. It is your fault. And then I do not want this movie to win Best Animated Feature. Okay, I do not want Spider-Man to win.
Yeah,
Best Animated.
Yeah,
I really don't.
I don't know. I have my problems with it, and I do think from what I've seen, The Boy and the Heron is a much better movie. And that one much.
Yeah, that did win the Golden Globe, did it?
Yeah, it did win the Golden Globe for Best Animated Feature. I'm afraid to do this, but we got Thomas. Your opinion on Across the Spider-Verse? Are you a big fan of it?
I think it's pretty great. I would still say I preferred Into the Spider-Verse. I think that one's just like a perfectly cohesive movie.
Right. I love that
on its own right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Versus I think Across the Spider-Verse I think is still pretty like great and enjoyable, but yeah, I wouldn't say it's my top tier of the animated movies necessarily, but it seems like it's the kind of odds-on favorite.
Yeah. Brian, same question. Across the Universe? Question mark.
I'm kind of similar to you, Marcelo. Like I've cooled on it over the past few months, which I still think it's great. Looking at like the Golden Globe nominations, I haven't seen Suzume.
Yes.
That's the only one I haven't seen. But I mean, by default, it's my second favorite. Second to The Boy and the Heron, of course. But yeah, I don't think there's any. I think The Boy and the Heron has it like basically locked, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel that way too. I think it's a lock. Boy and the Heron. All right, that's the Golden Globes done. Boom. Next segment.
Huh. That was fast.
That was fast.
Surprised.
Because honestly, is there anything else we need to talk about with the Golden Globes? I think we've covered it all. It's some of the wins weren't that surprising. I'm at least happy to see Chris Nolan up there and his producing partner / wife, up there with that speech for Best Picture. That was great to see. I don't know. That's it. I got nothing else to say.
I want to shout out the one funny moment that happened was completely accidental, where it was for the category that Elizabeth Debicki won for TV, and there was just a bit where like the announcer came on too early and it terrified Elizabeth Debicki because the camera was on her.
Yeah, I did see that.
It was easily the funniest bit of the whole night.
Oh wait, Brian, since you caught up on all the memes, what was your favorite meme from the Golden Globes?
Yes. Oh man, I mean, I'm loving the Selena Gomez talking to Taylor Swift, where the one I saw that was really great was someone did the like AMC A-list, like, so you get 3 movies a month, but if you see even one movie, it's really worth it. Like they did that whole speech kind of captioned with that video, which I thought was really funny.
It's a solid meme. It's a good choice. Siobhan, anything else before we move on? I know you wanted to spend more time with the Golden Globes.
The one bit about writing, and they were like writing. Here are the nominees for being is good writer or whatever.
Oh yeah,
that was funny.
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny. Solid.
All right, that's the Golden Globes.
All right, next segment. What is it that we've been watching lately over here? Yes, that's the segment.
Oh yeah.
I made a note here that I want to keep it to 2 movies each, just because we have so many people. But if you're super excited about something, you can speed through it. But so yeah, this is a segment where we would just talk about what we've watched recently. Doesn't really have to be an Oscar movie, though it could be fun to talk about. The 2 I'm talking about are Oscar movies, so have that in mind, folks. Brian, why don't we start with you? What is it that you've been watching lately?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, I'll pick this one, I guess, just because it did win an Oscar a few years ago. I rewatched the 2016 movie Suicide Squad, which I had which I had not seen since I saw it in theaters, and pretty bad movie.
Did you get your hands on the Ayer cut?
Wait, is this an exclusive?
Yeah, he texted it to me. He sent it over. No, I did watch the quote unquote extended cut, which is like 10 minutes extra of footage. Doesn't help the movie at all. But man, it's even worse than you remember. And I feel like it is definitely one of the most like maligned movies of recent times. But I cannot get over how bad Jared Leto is in that movie.
Ugh.
Where every single line and every scene is maybe some of the worst acting I've ever seen in my life. And I just can't. Yeah, it's just horrible, and I just can't believe that it exists and you can still watch that movie.
My whole thing with his Suicide Squad is still like, it feels like you're watching a movie that's only based on an elevator pitch. Like, that's all they have to go with in terms of no script, no nothing, just an elevator pitch of a bunch of bad guys. We focus on them. Great. What else? And they just fucking went with whatever they had.
Yeah, I mean, it's, the only shining moments I think it has are, like, Viola Davis, she fucking rules in it. Like, she's just genuinely killing it. And I think Will Smith is, like, there's, like, glimmers of that Will Smith charm in there that I think, like, occasionally pop up, but then, like, it's just some of the worst writing in any movie, and it looks god awful. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Have you guys even thought of Suicide Squad before I mentioned it?
I don't hate that movie, but like, yeah, nothing you're saying I can dispute. Like, it's bad, and like, yeah.
I'll say this: when that movie came out, I think I fooled myself into thinking it was a good movie. I remember seeing it twice in theaters, saying it's not that bad, but I'm afraid to watch it again. I'm pretty sure it is truly terrible.
Really regretting that forehead damage tattoo, aren't you, Marcelo? That you got back in 2016?
Wait, wasn't the story that all of the cast of Suicide Squad got a tattoo? To say,
right?
Oh,
yeah,
shit, they did.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And the whole thing was they misspelled it, like they did squad like SKWD, which is so funny to me.
And I'll say this: the Suicide Squad, James Gunn's film, a lot better. I just rewatched
much
that.
better film. Yeah,
It looks like Citizen Kane compared to the 2016 Suicide Squad.
Absolutely. Brian, do you have another movie to talk about?
Yeah, I guess another this one, I guess, because we're talking about kind of award season, and I did just catch up on the Iron Claw like last week, and I'm kind of a little disappointed to see that it hasn't really been as up front for like awards as I would like, especially for Zac Efron, who I think is like. I mean, I've been on the Zac Efron train since High School Musical, but since then, I've really loved him in a lot of stuff, and I think he's really great in that movie. I think it's a really beautiful movie, and I loved it. Have you guys seen The Iron Claw yet?
Yes, I did see it.
Yes.
Siobhan, you did see it too?
Yeah, I did as well.
I think
And I agree with you, Zac Efron. That would be my number one, like, awards
for sure. Yeah.
It's insane to me that he's not going to get nominated. It'd be great if he did, but if he does, it'd be like the fifth slot. But it's looking not so great. I think he deserves a lot of acclaim for that movie. It's
especially for how subtle he can be, despite the fact that just by the nature of his hair and his body type, he looks like a He-Man action figure. Yeah. And to be that subtle while looking like that is amazing.
Yeah. Solid. Love that movie. All right, why don't we go to Siobhan? Now it's your turn. Now you can talk about what is it that you've been watching.
Oh, okay. Well, you said to limit it to two. I've seen two movies.
Oh, hell yeah.
All right, so I saw The Lodge.
Oh, man.
2019.
Wait,
film directed. What's that?
I was going to say. I say, oh, man, because I'm afraid of what you're going to say because... No, you know what? You say what you're going to say, and then I'll say what I'll say.
Directed by the directors of Goodnight Mommy, which I have not seen. It's a very bleak and cruel movie that has an even bleaker and crueler twist that's like darkly comedic. I did not particularly enjoy it. I think it's well made. That's about all I have to say on it.
Okay. Let me jump in and say I love The Lodge. It was in my top 10 of that year. I think only because I think it came out technically in 2020. And it was one of the last movies I saw in a theater before things shut down. I think that's the case. But
what happened in 2020? I don't remember this. What happened?
An election happened and something else.
Oh, okay, right, yeah,
yeah.
Right.
But no, I don't know. It's one of those very personal experiences of like I remember distinctly being in a theater watching it, being freaked out by it, then later seeing the same movie at home for reasons and loving it more as you know on that rewatch. But anyway, I love The Lodge. I'm also a big fan of Riley Keough. I think she's amazing. So,
she's really good.
She's really good. But no, you're speaking to maybe the number one The Lodge fan over here. So I'm glad you watched it, at least, Siobhan. It seems like nobody's watched it.
Yeah. Well, I did. And then I watched one of my favorite movie musicals ever. I apologize, Elise. Marcelo's girlfriend.
Yeah.
I watched Sweeney Todd, the demon barber of Fleet Street.
Yeah, she hates it.
Yeah. Well, look, I think it's a great movie musical. Tim Burton's movie magic style is on point throughout the entire thing. Does some very creative things. Johnny Depp is a fucking great singer. I'm sorry. It's really pretty to look at. The music itself is very nice. Very kind of not as bombastic, except for the points where it really needs to be. So it's just great at telling the story in this very natural way. Keeps things nice and tight too. I think it's under 2 hours, and that's hard to do for a movie musical. And I just really dig it. I hadn't seen it for, God, I don't know, 10 years, but it's still something that like it pops into my head every now and then where I just start singing Joanna, that song, the basically main refrain from the film. I love it. I love that movie.
So, Siobhan, that was those you. That
are my two films.
Those are your two.
And I watched half of Saltburn.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm sure we'll talk about that maybe next week. Your full watch of Saltburn.
I pray we do.
Fingers crossed. So stay tuned, folks. Next week, Siobhan's take on Saltburn. I'll go next. I got two big ones I want to talk about here. All of Us Strangers. That just opened up here in Austin. I saw that last week. I think this movie, it's almost as great as everybody's been saying. It's the new Andrew Hale. I can't say his last name. Haig? Andrew Haig? Yeah, Andrew Haig movie. Starring Andrew Scott and Paul Mescal. Go into this one as blind as possible, folks. I certainly did, and I was thoroughly surprised. I'll say this about the movie for sure. Andrew Scott gives one of the best performances of the year. He's definitely... he should be in the Oscar race. He has a better chance, I think, better chance to get in there than Zac Efron. So, yeah, it's phenomenal what he does here. I do have my problems with it. Something happens towards the end. I'm not going to say what it is, but with that aside, it is a very emotional movie. And yeah, I recommend it wholeheartedly. Go see All of Us Strangers when you can. I'm assuming nobody here has seen it yet, right?
No, desperately want to, though.
Yeah. But put this on your lists, everybody here. And another movie I'm pretty sure nobody has seen because you just said it earlier you haven't seen it. I saw The Zone of Interest last night. Yeah. Also,
a lot of fun, right? Based on everything I've heard.
Jesus Christ. So
a rollicking fun time.
The new Jonathan Glazer movie. I'm not going to even bother saying what it's about. Look it up, folks, because it's a difficult subject matter. It is now in my top 10. I have to admit it's powerful. It's the music in it exceptional by Micah Levy. They provide just tremendous score for this, along with the sound design, which I think has been said a lot. The sound design of this movie, it's makes this a horror movie. Even though it's rated PG-13, it's one of the most horrific movies I've seen. That's The Zone of Interest. Jesus Christ.
Another PG-13 horror movie. Might as well see Night Swim.
Night Swim. Anybody here see Night Swim? What's that about?
No.
But I'll say this about The Zone of Interest. With The Zone of Interest, I have completed my the list of films I needed to see before making my top 10. I'm done. There are other ones there like stragglers there that some of them aren't out yet, or I'm not like in a big rush to see them. But I think I've seen it all. I think I'm done. So there we go. I did it. I'm finally finished with 2023. Really, I think it's Thomas's turn now. Thomas, what is it that you have seen recently?
Well, very fresh. About, I guess, 24 hours ago now at this point, I saw Fallen Leaves, which was one of the foreign films nominated. And I didn't know much about this going into it, and I was very pleasantly surprised. Admittingly, it's kind of like the textbook definition of like foreign academy worthy movie, with just like what it, like how it's stylized, what it is. But at the same time, I thought it was a really engaging little like love story. It almost felt like a deadpan dramedy, is how I describe it, just with how like acerbic everybody kind of is with all their deliveries and stuff like that. But I was pleasantly surprised by it. Also, finally, a dog to compete with Snoop from Anatomy of a Fall, because the dog in this movie is fucking adorable.
Good dog.
Great dog. Good dog. Very good dog. But yeah, Fallen Leaves, pretty great. I don't know, you saw it, right, Marcelo?
I did see it. I when I first saw it, I was kind of down on it, but like since, I've seen it's been getting more awards attention and thinking about it more, I do like it more as time goes by. So I might rewatch it. But yeah, it's a nice, sweet little movie. It's pretty short too, so it gets it's 81 minutes. I just looked it up. It's 81 minutes long, and it gets the job done in 81 minutes.
I left the 9:30 showing, and I'm like, it's not even 11:30 yet. What the fuck's happening?
But yeah, good movie. Fallen Leaves, go see it. I think it's going to be on the streamer Mubi soon.
Given that logo was right in front, I assume it will be on Mubi.
Yeah.
I don't know, twist a turn, it goes on Netflix in like 2 months.
I think it'll be on VOD as well, but yeah, I hope more people see it. Thomas, you have another movie?
This is maybe a bit of a cheat, but I don't have a lot to say about what I'm talking about to say here, and also I have no other public place to say anything about it. I've been watching the Ernest movies.
Finally.
Well, yeah, because like Ernest is such a weird character from my childhood that like I saw Scared Stupid and Saves Christmas as a kid, but then I keep seeing like there are 8 other ones. That's fucking nuts. And I've just been going through them. Some of them more interesting than not. I would say if I had to recommend one for a person in 2024 to watch to get like the best Ernest necessarily, I would say Goes to Jail. Mainly because it features 2 Jim Varneys. And that's mainly the reason I'm watching these, is because I think Jim Varney's a very underrated talent. Gone too soon. And also just a real dedication. His like Shakespearean training comes off while he's doing silly bullshit as Ernest. And I think that's a very undervalued skill, especially when I'm near the end. I still have to see Ernest Goes to Africa. I'm so excited for that.
Jesus Christ.
So excited to see Ernest Goes to Africa. But yeah, I think those movies are a bit better than I think so far than people have given them credit for. I think there are some fun ones in there.
Siobhan, your favorite Ernest movie?
I haven't seen it.
What? Well, guess what series we're doing next on the commentary on Patreon?
all 10.
All 10
Ernest movies.
Welcome to Ernest February.
February.
Ernest February. Oh man, I haven't seen any of those movies in years, but I remember fun things about Scared Stupid and Goes to Jail. Those 2. Mm-hmm. The other ones, I don't know. I don't know.
Well, Ernest Goes to School, underrated. I'm just gonna say it.
Some of these sound like you're making them up. Thomas.
No, I'm not. I could use the Simpsons ones, like Ernest Goes Somewhere Cheap or Ernest Needs a Kidney, but I won't.
Well, I'm glad we finally talked to Ernest on this show.
Thank God, really.
Yeah. The time has come. There you go. And now that segment's done. Wow, we're just speeding through this. That was what is it that we've been watching over here lately. And now, Siobhan, do you know what it's time for?
No. Which one are we doing next?
We're doing
the movie of the week.
The movie of the week. Oh shit, we forgot to talk about this up top. We're doing visual effects this week. God damn it, we're terrible at this. I'm terrible at this. I'm leading the thing. I should have had this in my notes. Up top, should have said visual effects. We're focusing on that this week. The movie of the week is Gravity from 2013. Siobhan. Now, I think this was my pick. But I want to say I'm excited to talk about this because I think back to our conversation last time we talked about Gravity. Do you remember this?
No.
I'm going to try to jog your memory. I forget what what episode or what commentary we talked about it on. It may have been for the Oscar season last year, but I asked you what's been your favorite movie-going experience, right?
Yeah, right.
And you mentioned Gravity. You
Yes.
mentioned how while you're watching the movie, do you remember your description of it, Siobhan?
No, I don't.
Because I'm trying to lead you to this. I seem to remember making fun of you because you said you were lifted up by it. And then I took that literally. It's like, no, Siobhan, I've never experienced a movie where a movie has lifted me up from my chair and I floated up to the screen. You're trying to say it was a very emotionally impactful movie, and I made fun of you for it. So I apologize here for making fun of you, Siobhan. But I also want to talk about this movie because I know you like this movie, Siobhan.
Yeah, I do.
Do you like this movie?
Yeah.
Did you watch this movie for the show?
No.
No, I knew it. God damn it! You didn't watch it.
Look, Marcelo. Everything I said to you on that one podcast is true. This is my favorite movie-going experience I've ever had. It felt very transcendent. It felt like I was being lifted from my seat and I'm in space. Fuck off.
Oh, you mean literally?
And no, it felt like it was so immersive. Okay, it like it was like I could feel everything that was happening. Okay, that's what I meant by that.
And I made fun of you.
And could I literally feel it? No, probably not. Okay, yeah, I call it the best movie going experience I've ever had, and I kind of made a vow to myself I would never watch it again unless it's in a theater. And I'm not going to go back on that for some Golden Globes podcast.
No, come on. This is the Golden Globes episode of the Talk Film Society 2003 Awards Season Series. So, yeah, maybe you should have, but it's fine. You didn't.
So I very purposefully did not watch it.
Fair. But I just wanted to bring that story back because that's your number one. So in the last 10 years, nothing has come close to that.
Oh, no, nothing.
Nothing. All right. Now I'm going to go to Thomas. Did you lift up from your chair while watching Gravity 10 years ago, Thomas?
I kind of did. I want to preface that might have been because I was in college and it was Oktoberfest and also just college. I'll just underline that. So I was in a very interesting state when I saw Gravity originally.
Interesting.
I saw it twice in theaters. So I was at least aware. I at least had the secondary experience, like just to prove that I could replicate that at least. And I was in a similar boat though to Siobhan in that I was very worried because I did revisit this and I was like, oh, how is this going to work? Is it going to am I going to lose some of that magic that I had in the theater? And I'll save my thoughts till a bit later.
Okay. Fair. Let's go to Brian. Now, I made the assumption that Thomas saw this 10 years ago in a theater. But Brian, did you see this 10 years ago in a theater?
I did. I went to see it in IMAX 3D, and I mean, kind of similar to Siobhan and Thomas. Like, I had that experience of being very immersed into this movie, and it being kind of one of the only instances that I went and actively seeked out a 3D movie because I wear glasses as well, but also I just hate 3D. It gives me a headache and everything. And yeah, I hadn't seen it since I saw it because I was like, I'm not going to watch this on my, on a TV. It felt like this very almost sacred experience that I had. Despite the fact that I owned a Blu-ray copy of it that I still don't know how I got. But I've owned it for years, and I rewatched it. So, yeah, but it was a great theatrical experience, I will say. Maybe the best, one of the best 3D experiences I've ever had in a movie theater.
Mm-hmm. For sure, yeah.
As for me, I saw this in theaters when it came out. I was surprised to remember, because I forgot about this, I watched it 5 times when it was out in theaters. Which is not crazy for me, really, to watch a movie multiple times in theaters. But I just forgot. It's been a while since I've seen this. And I don't think about it too much. But seeing it again for this, oh boy. Well, I'll just tell you the experience I had. I think it's a unique experience. So,
Okay. So you stand up. You grab your 4K copy of Gravity off of your shelf.
no, you're wrong on all those counts. First off,
What?
First off, there is no 4K Blu-ray of this, which is insane.
What?
That's insane, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is really weird, yeah.
So, Siobhan, here's what I do. I sit down at my desk. I watched it this morning. Now, I'm currently, looking for a job. It's fine. I'll be fine. I'm in the process of going through steps to possibly get one job in particular, right? Which I'm excited about. Fingers crossed. Hopefully I get that. One step.
You'll be a great astronaut. I'm sure it'll work perfectly for you, based on this movie especially.
That's my reveal. I was trying to take the astronaut test. And no, so part of this application process was you have 90 minutes to complete this writing test. And I go, okay, I'm going to knock out 2 birds with 1 stone. I'm here in my apartment. I'm going to do this writing test. In the background, I put on Gravity, a movie I'm going to watch for this show. So I'm like, perfect, and it's a short movie. It's like 90 minutes. So if I don't, put too much focus on it, I have time this afternoon to watch it again, which I kind of wanted to because there are 2 versions of this movie. There's the theatrical version, and then there's a silent version that I've always wanted to see, which is a special feature I know on iTunes, and I think there's a deluxe Blu-ray of Gravity that I don't have, but the iTunes special features has this, where it takes out the score from Stephen Price, and it's just silent. You just hear the sound effects. So I'm like, you know what? I'll watch this movie twice.
Like that Mummy trailer.
I believe they call it the Mummy trailer version of the film, right? On the iTunes.
That's what it says on the box. The deluxe version. It quotes the Mummy version. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take this 90-minute test, watch the movie. It was an amazing experience because I had it on the background. I was doing this test. I had 90 minutes to complete it, and the fast pace of it all, the fact that I was immersed in a way of like, I got to get this done in 90 minutes. While I look up and I see Sandra Bullock trying to survive in space, because I think it's all like in real time, which is great too. All those long takes, whatever. Long story short, I was emotional by the end of my experience because I was invested in both things. I was invested in taking the test and watching the movie, and I cared about Sandra Bullock's character, living or dying. And that little speech at the end where she goes, well, this is it. Like, I got nothing, I thought earlier that I had nothing to live for, but now I'm going to do it. I'm going to live. All that was fantastic. So that was my experience watching it. I can't replicate that in any other way, I guess, unless I have another, 90-minute test I need to take. So I enjoyed my
Siobhan, give him a 90-minute test.
I just put Gravity on in the background. But yeah, I'll just flat out say this movie is great, and I think I was worried, like some of you said, about watching this at home, but under the right circumstances, I think it still works. So there you go. Before we talk more about this, I do this every episode. I go back and look through the Academy Awards this year, well, the year that this movie came out. So. Pop quiz, Siobhan. I force you to do this every episode. The year Gravity was nominated and won a bunch of awards. What won Best Picture that year, Siobhan?
What won Best Picture? I know Gravity didn't, because I was like it was winning every technical award, and I was like, well, it's gonna win, and then it didn't win. 2013.
Yes, 2013. Can you take a wild guess?
Let's take a swing. That was not the King's Speech year.
No, that was 2010.
That was 2010. Hurt Locker. We can go backwards.
That was 2009. Keep going backwards. Slumdog Millionaire. Then No Country for Old Men. Crash.
Wings.
Wings. Go all the way back.
Yeah. I don't know.
Okay, so next part of this pop quiz, I'm going to start naming the nominees.
Well, I'll know it when you say it.
Exactly. So this is going to be just tell me.
Maybe this will jog my memory.
Exactly. So here we go. And I'm going to mix this up so it's in no order.
Oh, thank God.
Captain Phillips, Dallas Buyers Club, Her, Nebraska, Philomena, The Wolf of Wall Street, Gravity, of course. Did I say American Hustle? American Hustle.
No.
12 Years a Slave. Siobhan?
Yeah.
Anything?
12 Years a Slave, one best.
Yes, 12 Years a Slave, one best picture. I was worried there. But yes, that one.
You guys see Philomena?
I did see Philomena.
Yeah.
I
saw it in the theater.
Yeah, so did I.
Well, that's not surprising from you.
Oh,
it's a weird movie for me to see in the theater.
What did you think of it?
It was okay.
It was okay. All right. Okay.
Kind of funny.
Kind of funny.
Kind of
Can I
sweet.
just say that list of nominees is fucking wild?
It is wild.
That's a weird group of fucking movies.
Again, I just do it real quick again. 12 Years a Slave, American Hustle, Captain Phillips, Dallas Buyers Club, Gravity, Her, Nebraska, Philomena, The Wolf of Wall Street. Yeah. I'll just go through some of the big wins. Of course, Best Director went to Alfonso Cuarón for Gravity.
Yeah.
Best Actor, McConaughey for Dallas Buyers Club. Best Actress, Kate Blanchett for Blue Jasmine. Jared Leto for Best Supporting Actor. Oof.
Jesus.
Lupita Nyong'o for Best Supporting Actress. Well deserved. Oh, I forgot about this. Original Screenplay. Her. Spike Jonze. Good for him.
Yes.
Adapted Screenplay.
And all the movies he made since then.
Yeah. He never stops working, Spike Jonze.
No.
I mean, no, he was in somebody's top 10 twice, Siobhan. He was in your top 10. He showed up in two of your movies from last year. Spike Jonze.
Jackass Forever.
Yeah. Okay. Are you gonna get the next one? Oh my God, you're gonna get it, aren't you? Come on, Siobhan. Come on. Come on.
Yeah, I remember he was like a guy I didn't even know he was in the movie.
Yeah. I'll give you this hint. It was long.
Narrows it down with all the Oscar
A
nominees.
polarizing movie.
It was polarizing.
Yes, very polarizing.
But we both loved it.
Yeah.
Spike plays somebody who shares his profession.
He plays a director in the movie.
Yeah.
Ew,
Come over here.
fuck, yes. Babylon.
Babylon.
Yeah.
Frozen won Best Animated Feature Film, and so on and so forth. Gravity also won Best Original Score, Best Sound Editing, Best Sound Mixing, Best Cinematography, Best Film Editing, Best Visual Effects, which is what we're talking about. Best Visual Effects, Gravity. All right, let's talk more in depth. Who was it that was being sneaky about their opinion? Brian? Why don't we start with you? Get more in depth about Gravity now.
Yeah, I mean, I like Gravity.
All right, let's move on. All right. Go ahead, Brian.
No, I mean, look, I think from a technical level, it is like extremely impressive still to this day. Like, all of those like really long takes are incredibly impressive, and I think are also, very functional because they do immerse you in the movie, and you eventually don't notice them until you're like, oh my gosh, this has been going on for like 5 minutes and hasn't like cut at all. And I think it deserves all of those technical awards, but I don't know. I find, it's funny because you jogged my memory with the kind of silent version of the movie, which I wish I had seen, because I don't like the use of music in the movie that much. I like some of the more like electronic pieces throughout the movie, but when it gets very bombastic and big and everything, I just kind of like, I was like, can we just turn this down a bit? Can we just, but but I like this movie a lot, and I think it's very thrilling. I forgot that it was 90 minutes. Like, putting it in my Blu-ray player, I was like, oh yeah, this is a very short movie. I for some reason, I guess, remember it being longer because of I don't know. I was very off-put by how short and kind of concise it is in a lot of ways. It's very gets in, gets out, but I don't know. I think a lot of, and I feel like this is a common issue with this movie, is a lot of the sentimentality of it, and then the kind of like, it gets very sentimental, it gets very saccharine, which I am not a huge fan of. But I love all the space stuff. I think that stuff is just really, it's my shit. Like, I love sci-fi shit. I love just, anything to do with space. And it's thrilling. Like, it's a very thrilling movie. I do think it kind of loses me in the last kind of, 30 minutes or so, really. It just kind of like loses me at a certain point. But I just think those, like, that first like hour or so is almost perfect, I think. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. It loses me at a certain point. But I think it is a great movie still.
Yeah. But by the way, totally understandable on two of those points. I think one of my problems with the movie initially was that score, but for whatever reason, I'm like, yeah, I do enjoy this score. It does get too loud, and I'm like, why is this too bombastic at this moment? But overall, I think it works for me, and I was kind of hesitant about watching it. That was a reason why. I'm like, does the score work? And I think ultimately it does for me. And then the whole it being a bit too sentimental, I was also hesitant about that because I do remember that aspect of it, but because I guess I was just going through it, it did hit me, I guess, unexpectedly. So, but yeah, I do understand those points, though. Thomas, what about you? More in-depth thoughts on your... I'm assuming you did rewatch this for this show. Your thoughts on Gravity?
I did rewatch it. Yes, I'll emphasize admittingly that I did have a rough viewing experience because I'll just say I'm currently sitting a puppy, and that puppy is not quite trained. So it was an interesting, a bit longer than 90 minutes having to deal with both those things. But that being said, I still felt rather immersed in Gravity. I still really loved it. And I think a big reason why both the score and the sentimentality don't bother me quite as much is just because, like, this movie moves at such a fucking clip, man. Yeah. Like, this movie, like, even with 90 minutes, it feels even shorter. Just because, like, many movies have tried this kind of thing. It's sort of like a real-time kind of thing. This isn't quite that. But sort of like that stream of consciousness thing, right? Where it's just like, everything is moving. We have to get things done now. Like, that's why I don't necessarily mind as much, especially, like, the sentimentality angle of it. Because, honestly, if I'm all the way up there, where in space where the air is thin, it is so life or death any single move, I'm going to become incredibly sentimental and weepy and full of just like that kind of like nervous terror that would make me go to the point of like barking like a dog. I would do that if I was up there in space and shit was just going so wrong. And the only thing I could cling to is like, I can hear a radio voice of a guy and some dogs. That's something. I think like that's the thing is like, it's so much movie, but just like grabbing whatever literal or figurative olive branch you can get to in a time of like such a desperate situation like this. And I think that's what really makes any of that stuff like feel sort of secondary. I think that's what makes like a truly great example of using the technology to really immerse you in just like you are living this fucking experience with this lady and you are in all the way down to you're in the same emotional state of fragility. That's what at least I felt.
I'm going to turn to Siobhan now. Siobhan, can we make it happen where we can screen Gravity for you in a theater? Is that possible?
Of all the movies I'd like to see on a movie theater right now, it's not necessarily this one, but sure, yeah, go ahead and mount the campaign for this movie.
Well, how about...
Don't do it for Southland Tales, our other podcast.
Okay. What?
One of my favorite movies, like just do Gravity for some reason.
For one episode of one show that we did, that you did, well, okay, fine. Southland Tales, that is more possible than I think. I don't know how possible Gravity is to screen that again.
I'm not dying to see it again. You know, like I'm okay letting that memory.
It sounds like you really want to see it in a theater again. So
I
I'm
saw
trying
it with
to
my mom. We both had the same feelings. We left the theater like super excited, and like I can't think of a time I've ever really done that where I've like left the theater with somebody being so excited. And we got to talk about this right now. That's just not usually what my reaction is, even if I love a movie.
Now, in my experience, whenever I feel joy of experiencing one thing, when I go back to it years later and I try to recreate it, it's always the same feeling, right? Right, guy? I mean, come on.
Right, true, very
right?
true.
No,
Yes.
no.
Yeah.
No. Anyway, Gravity, solid movie. I think we can all agree. Any last thoughts? I guess we're talking visual effects. Do we want to mention more about the visual effects?
I mean, yeah, obviously, like, look, it's the fact that it's not just, like, the space environments or whatever. Like, most of the stuff of, like, the suits, like, they had, from the behind-the-scenes photos I've seen, they had reference for, like, Clooney and Bullock, but they're mostly going off of just, like, their faces. That's, like, the only sort of shot in live action thing you're really seeing on the screen. And it's spellbinding to see, especially, like, that one sort of, I'm sure it's not actually one shot, it's all, like, stitched together shit, but the whole, like, opening, I don't know, like, 20 minutes or so is just, like, them on that space station, like, right before, all the way up until, like, they start getting hit by shit from that space station that, like, blows up or whatever. Like, that's an amazingly constructed thing, especially despite the fact that, like, you're not seeing much. And even, like, later on, most of what we're getting is just, like, Bullock, really, like, floating around those tubes or whatever. So it's so commendable that, like, they're able to do that with such little reference material, even, to make you fully immersed like that, and especially just, like, such a otherworldly environment, as it were.
Yeah, I'm in complete agreement. And just for comparison's sake, just to go back to the Oscars of that year, let's look at the other nominees. I'm just going to bring up the category again. Best Visual Effects. Gravity won, of course. Here are the other nominees. The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug, Iron Man 3, The Lone Ranger, and Star Trek Into Darkness. So
Lone Ranger should have got that. Robbed.
Yeah, I mean, so we can't see the Lone Ranger, right, anymore. Nobody can see it because it stars Johnny Depp and Armie Hammer. I mean, is that?
It's deep in the Disney vault at this point.
I remember liking it. I remember it being like a fun movie.
Oh,
well,
I'll watch it soon.
By the end. Wait, what'd you say, Siobhan?
I'll watch it soon.
You watch it soon? Okay, report back.
I'll be brave enough.
I mean, Gore Verbinski. Well, okay, I'll say this. My main memory of that is that the third act action scene where it felt very Gore Verbinski and felt like, oh, this is the movie I want.
About 2 hours and 15 minutes into that movie, right?
True. Yeah.
Into that terrible, awful fucking movie, right?
I will not be rewatching it anytime soon. But Siobhan, report back. Okay, segment done. Let's move on. Best visual effects of 2023. Now we get into our favorites of the year.
The meat of this.
The meat
sandwich.
Jesus, we're coming up on 90 minutes. God, I hope this is not 2 hours. It's going to be 2 hours long. I can feel it. This is our picks, our favorites. These are not our predictions for the Oscars or anything. This is just what we think. Why don't we go to our guests first? Let's go to Thomas first. Well, you've heard the show, Thomas. Usually we do, a top 5, but you do whatever you want, buddy. Just talk about your favorite.
Well, if I'm correct, I'm a listener. I'm a fan of the show. So I believe you guys, the two of you do a top 5, and you go from 5 to 1, with 1 being like what would be your designated winner.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
It's always nice to be a fan.
Well, on that note, I'll go ahead and talk about my number 5 I have for visual effects of 2023 is especially, I think, important because this is a year where we had so many bad superhero movie CG effects. It was the year of it. And it's a bummer those are on the short list for the Oscar. I'm still angry about that. Like fucking Ant-Man, whatever. But Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, is my choice. And I think especially like with that movie, there's so many great like makeup appliances and practical things that show up. But the visual effects, the computer generated effects are like some of the best that we get, especially in big blockbuster stuff with Rocket and Groot and all these characters. It's just like, so they feel like real characters at this point, especially 3 movies in. It's only gotten better with each one on that. But then 4 is one that combines some practical and CG stuff as well. And especially the practical stuff in here was a great surprise for Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves. Particularly the big bird guy that shows up. Just one of my favorite guys. Jonathan, yes. Amazing. Great bit. Wonderful scene in that movie. But there's a lot of other great like practical creatures that show up, especially ones that I did kind of recognize from my vague Dungeons and Dragons sort of research I've had in my life. And I just think it's a lot of like a great mix, a great hybrid, what I dream all movies can do at this point. It's just like blend the two things that are great. We don't need way more of one than the other. But then number 3, I think is much more of a practical thing. And I'll just say this is definitely like, I wanted to put a full-on horror movie on this, because especially I feel horror visual effects are very underrated in general, especially by the Academy. But When Evil Lurks is, I think, an amazing film that's just like so brutal and upsetting. And I think a big reason for that is the visual effects that are there. I think particularly, I'll just say there's a scene that involves a little girl and a dog. That was one of the most upsetting things I've seen in a while in a movie. Yeah. And it's like so well done, especially like the actual moment that I'm thinking of in particular just will haunt me forever. It's a great movie. Speaking of haunting, my number 2 is Oppenheimer, which was not on that visual effects shortlist for the Oscars, by the way. Fucking stupid. Yeah. Because I think this movie, where from what I understand, it's mostly practical stuff. You know, Christopher Nolan would like be in terror if a computer dare touch his amazing film. But at the same time, I think the stuff is like not just the big bomb testing scene, which is amazing, which definitely is like the big showstopper bit of that movie. But even like the little flashes we get earlier on of Oppenheimer, like kind of visually thinking about the atoms and whatnot, and just some of the other stuff like that feels like it just helps with the vibe of the movie. Like it sort of feels essential, especially in that earlier part where like, if those things didn't happen, Oppenheimer would feel much more staid in like the first hour or so. But that stuff just like really adds to that propulsive thing, along with like the editing and the music and everything else. It's so key to that movie. But then my number 1 is another sort of genre-y thing. And I think it might have a chance because I believe it was on the short list for the Oscars. And I think it's just, especially as someone who has seen a lot of movies in this franchise, like nearly all of them, Godzilla Minus One is the best post-suit Godzilla movie, just on a visual effects level. I think that the way that Godzilla just feels like this ungodly mass that's moving. It's just like a mountain is fucking moving in front of you. It's not even like a sort of lizard creature. It's a living mountain. It does such a beautiful job of conveying that with like, especially the big sort of like city destroying sequence that happens in this movie. Just tremendously done. The way they reinvent how he uses his fucking laser breath thing or whatever. So cool. So wonderful. And even like all the other effects around it just really complement that design and that creation of that version of Godzilla. That feels wholly unique, and especially like 70 fucking years at this point of Godzilla movies. Just wonderful. And my pick to like my absolute favorite visual effects stuff from 2023. Mm-hmm.
Solid. When Evil Lurks, that I need to see. I keep hearing that's something that will, like I think what you just said, Thomas, that will haunt me, and I'm like, I'm in. That's my kind of horror movie.
Yeah.
Does that live on Shudder? Is that?
Yes, it's a Shudder release.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. I have to see that. Then going back to what I've told Siobhan over these last few episodes, I do need to also see The Outwaters. Speaking of horror, I got to make it. I got to do like a double feature horror night one of these nights. Okay, those are your top 5. Thank you, Thomas. Brian, we go to you. Do you have a top 5?
I do. Okay, so my number 5. I'm gonna go with The Creator, which is a movie I liked, which I found quite frustrating for other reasons, but I think the visual effects in that movie are absolutely incredible. It's a very me pick. Like I said before, I love sci-fi shit. And and just all of the like little devices that they have, all of that stuff, but then also like the big like the fucking giant ship that takes up like the entire like length of the screen is like incredible. I love like all the way all the robots look. A really great looking movie. For my number 4, I'm going with a weird one, an interesting one, which is Skinamarink, which is not the most kind of like, obviously it's a very small movie, but I just love the lo-fi like visual effects like aesthetic that it has, and that it's going for something really unique and weird. And I just love how creepy it all is. And yeah, just the lo-fi kind of thing I just found really, really interesting. And the movie has really grown on me in the past few months. But my number 3, much like Thomas, is Dungeons & Dragons: Honor Among Thieves, which is a movie I love so much. I just rewatched it yesterday, and it fucking rules. And yeah, Jonathan is great, but also like the pudgy dragon, as they describe him, is great.
Yes.
And just like, and there is like some kind of stuff that looks like it's practical. Like they like save like a cat person, and there's like a cat like baby that looks like it's like an animatronic. It's very cool looking. But yeah, just a really, really great looking movie. And then my number 2 is also going to be Oppenheimer, which, yeah, I mean, the Trinity test is kind of like incredibly impressive, but all of that stuff kind of early on where he's like, yeah, seeing into like the nuclear world or whatever, like all that stuff, which is just really visually intriguing and looks great. And, yeah, I love the visual effects of that movie. And, my number 1, I'm sorry, Thomas, I'm copying parts of your list, but it's Godzilla -1.
Yeah.
I mean, it is really hard, I think, for a movie to get like that immense sense of scale, and it really, really succeeds in that. Like the sequence where he's blowing up like the block, like the cityscape, is terrifying and really looks just monumental and incredible. And Godzilla himself, like, yeah, he looks amazing. He's got all like barnacles and like just shit like growing on him. It looks so like nasty, and I love it. Yeah, my number 1 is Godzilla -1.
Solid as well. I have a feeling this won't be the last time Godzilla -1 is mentioned. I'll say that right away. It's on my list. I also have to say, good job, Brian, with the Skinamarink shout out.
Yeah. That was like, that would have been my pick if not for When Evil Lurks, for like the horror sort of pick. That's a very inspired one. Yeah.
It's my honorable mention. Siobhan, do you want to go first, or should I go next?
I think mine will be pretty quick. So, you guys with the D&D mentions, you never brought up how they shrunk down the little maestro.
Oh my god. What a scene.
The much better film he was in this year, yes.
All right. Okay, so my number 5. Marcelo, I told you we couldn't do this episode until I'd seen this movie.
Which is, let's say it together, Rebel Moon Part 1, A Child of Fire.
Yes, thank you, Marcelo. So, yeah, look, did I have to put this on this list? Yeah, I think I did, or Marcelo would have made fun of me. Yeah. So I'm doing it. Look, it looks great. Like, I think all Zack Snyder movies kind of look great. And this one's no different. The visuals are very slick, in the same way that like this movie's an homage, ripoff, whatever you want to say, of Star Wars, and like it's very slick, kind of in the same way that the new Star Wars movies look incredibly slick, which is good. Okay, number 4, I said Extraction 2. A mix of like really great stunt work and good visual effects, really creative stuff that they are trying to do with their stunts. Lots of like oneers and stuff like that are all like really hard to pull off, and they did it. Good for them. Number 3. This one might seem weird, I guess, to a lot of people, but I'm saying Fast X. And I think the reason I'm saying it is because there is just this certain unreality to this series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that is like the things they're doing, not possible. Physics don't exist in this world, or they are different than they are here. And the visual effects carry that through with like with a ton of weight, as if these things are happening. And they look just slightly off in a way that is like perfect. Like it's kind of goofy. Like it adds to the spectacle of the film. Number 2, from one X to another, it's Saw X.
Hell yeah.
Having seen, so like the practical effects are fucking insane in this movie. The watching the behind the scenes special features on the Saw X 4K, you can buy it now.
Listen to the Saw X commentary now on Patreon.
Yeah.
It's good commentary.
They're damn near everything was pulled off with practical effects, and I was shocked by it. Particularly Valentina's trap, where she has the Gigli saw and she has to cut off her own leg, completely practical, and just the way that these prosthetics bleed and come apart, it feels so real and visceral and gross. And God, it looks good.
Tasty.
Yeah, that's a good pick,
And then,
actually.
yeah. Then my number 1, John Wick Chapter 4, stunts and
Hell yeah.
shooting and guns and shit. Looks really
Boom,
good.
boom. Bang, bang.
Marcelo, go ahead.
Quick question, Siobhan. I heard John Kramer is back. Is that true?
John Kramer is back for the 10th installment in the legendary franchise.
That's a callback from the Saw X commentary, which you can listen to on the Patreon. Go to talkfilmsociety.com/Patreon or patreon.com/talkfilmsociety. Either one. All right, my turn. Number 5. Now, I haven't seen this movie since it came out, but it's been on my mind, and I need to rewatch it. Won't make my top 10, though. Beau's Afraid. What I like about this movie is that it feels like there are a lot of practical effects in this. I don't know how much practical is actually in it. I don't know how much is CGI, but it feels very what's the word? Like tactile. I love the look of it. That's my number 5. Similarly, my number 4 is Asteroid City, which God, I love Wes Anderson just being as analog as possible. And instead of like doing like CGI animals or a CGI alien, they're like stop motion, or they just feel like they
It's a puppet.
Yeah, it's a puppet, right?
Like it's a rod puppet. Yeah, I've seen the behind the scenes of these.
It's incredible. So yeah, just the every time Wes Anderson decides to do a visual effect, it feels very Wes Anderson-y. And that is definitely the case for like all the effects in Asteroid City. So love it. Number 3, hey, it's Godzilla -1. It's been said. Yes. I've talked about this on this show. There's one scene in particular where Godzilla shoots his fire breath, and that scene alone, the way it's handled, all the visual effects that went into that scene, blew me away and blew the characters away on screen. So it's intense, and it does so well with the Godzilla myth and portraying him on screen. It was fantastic to look at. So I love that movie. Godzilla -1, my number 3. My number 2, Barbie. I gotta talk about Barbie and its visual effects. I love that it created Barbie Land the way that it did, the mix of CG and practical effects. Similar to like Asteroid City and Beau is Afraid, it's like it has a particular look that does not feel like soaked in CGI like so many modern day blockbusters are. I love the look of it, and I hope it is a big winner at the Oscars for a lot of these technical awards. I don't know if it'll... Well, I actually don't know who's in the lead. Actually, we'll talk about that later. I'm not sure who's...
That might be part of a game later, right? I believe in the game.
Yeah. No, Marcelo, can you just tell me right now?
No. Why don't we wait like 20 minutes to get to that?
Barbie, I wanted to say the car flipping over. I think that effect is really cute.
Yeah, it's cute. A lot of it is super cute and well done. That one scene or that one moment where in the beginning where we meet Ryan Gosling Ken when he jumps into the water and gets pushed back. It looks so like it doesn't feel like it's real. It feels like it is like an imaginary hand coming in and playing with a doll. I think that effect is so good. It's so well done. Number 2, Barbie. Number 1, of course, Oppenheimer. It's Oppie. Just like you all were saying, it's practical effects. I mean, there's a theme here. The early moments when we see inside of Oppenheimer's mind, and it is just these striking images of explosions and just particles moving around, all that mixed with the music and the cinematography, solid. I can't imagine those elements apart being as effective. All of it coming together makes Oppenheimer fantastic visual effects. Up top for me, that's my number 1. That's it. Those are our favorites.
Not interesting because not a ton of crossover. We had a diverse crop here.
Yeah. Except
2 podcast hosts who had the same exact number 1 and 2.
And then I also said Godzilla -1, so that that had 3 people. I
didn't say there was no crossover.
Okay.
But I will say to your list, Marcelo, all the ones that weren't on my list would basically be honorable mentions to me that were on yours, especially like A Beau is Afraid, which is one I really contemplated and one that I know I love much more than you do. But
I really wanted to say Knock at the Cabin. Like that's my big honorable mention.
Mm-hmm.
Those weapons, and then like when everything starts going to shit at the end, it's like genuinely very scary. The effects, just great stuff.
Well, I did mention Skinamarink was an honorable mention for me. Another one was The Creator, which we'll talk about here in a second because I looked at the Discord's picks, so it'll come up.
All right.
But all right. Speaking of which, Siobhan, Discord?
Discord? So we have a Discord. If you would like to join it, you can go to talkfilmsociety.com/Discord, or reach out to any of us. We can get you a link in there. We ask our Discord members every week to help us, give us their choices for the topic of the week. Of course, this week, that topic is, Brian.
Wait, what?
Our topic. Okay.
You just randomly asked Brian, who's just waiting for something to happen. You quizzed him. What are we doing? Best visual effects.
Our topic of the week, Tommy. You got this?
Best visual effects, I believe.
That's right,
quizzing
Thomas.
Just right off the dome.
Thomas wins. Now,
okay. First point goes to Thomas.
So I put out the call. I put out the call at 5 in the morning, and 3 minutes later, my wrestle buddy Aaron, who you may hear on a commentary very soon, a very fun commentary. Mm-hmm. She comes in with Godzilla -1, Oppenheimer, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Barbie, Concrete Utopia. Anybody know anything about that one?
No.
She's mentioned this before. We were lost.
I was just gonna ask, with the Across the Spider-Verse, I've seen that on like the Oscar shortlist and stuff. I always am weird about like what do you define as a visual effect in an animated movie?
Isn't the entire thing a visual effect?
Right, that's kind of my. I'm not like dissing it because there have been cool animated nominees like Kubo and the Two Strings was an example of that, and I think Nightmare Before Christmas, which I think is more like a celebration of like the medium. But I mean, given like animated features come out since, it's a bit more harder to define.
I mean, it's not that it doesn't deserve it. It's just I understand it. It's just very weird to me. I don't know. All right. My other wrestling buddy, Jay McMillan, he comes in here smashes down the door with The Creator, Godzilla -1, GOTG3, I believe he means Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Come on, people. Get right.
Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and Poor Things. Poor Things?
I wish it were, again, going back to like practical effects. A problem I have with that movie, and I do love that movie a lot. I do love Poor Things, is I think it was maybe too reliant on CGI and is a little too distracting. That's what I'll say.
It's probably my only complaint about that movie, honestly, is some of the bird things or whatever.
Like shitty fisheye lens.
Okay, Siobhan.
All right. Okay, now this one requires a bit of...
You stupid bitch.
A bit of a warning. So this one comes from friend of the site, Sam Shot First. Sam, he used to host a podcast called Keanu Believe It, which was all about the man Keanu Reeves. Now, he has a certain allegiance to Keanu Reeves. That's just something you have to keep in mind when he says certain movies. He has a bias. Okay, I didn't want to say it, but yeah, he has a bias. Okay. Now, he says all of the above REVFX. So I guess he had 8 choices already. There were 8 unique choices above him. But then he wanted to add Dungeons and Dragons. I believe he means Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves.
From the year 2000.
Fuck you.
Right?
Dead Reckoning. I believe he means Mission Impossible. Dead Reckoning Part 1. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yes.
And John Wick Chapter 4. Now, that's the one you gotta... Sam, he hosted a Keanu Reeves podcast. Keep in mind, he has bias. So just keep... Okay. Now, Joey, he says, I would add Ferrari to this conversation. My other faves have been mentioned. Godzilla, Spider-Verse, D&D. So I just want to say, this is not a competition to say the names first. I want your top 5. So, hey, if it's already been said, say it again. That's just another vote for it. Okay?
Don't be afraid to. It's not a race.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
And I believe what he meant was Godzilla -1, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves, etc. and etc. So I guess there were more, but we don't get to know what they are. Oh, and he says, oh, wait, if Spider-Verse, I believe he means Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, is viable, so is Mutant Mayhem. I believe he means Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. Love the scribbles and goop all over that movie's visuals. Do you guys have any comments on the scribbles and goop on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem?
It's solid scribbles and goop, I think.
It's a great aesthetic.
Yeah.
I just rewatched it, and it's a great like element to that movie.
Yeah.
All right. Rocky Juarez, he comes in here with The Creator. He says it deserves all the FX awards.
Now, I think he means visual effects awards, and I think there's just one that we care about, the Oscars. So
unless FX is having an award show of some sort, in which case does deserve those.
The FX awards.
It feels like an FX movie on every level.
Okay, so this kicked off a whole conversation. I need to pick out the juicy bits. Jay McMillan says, I think The Creator should win VFX 2. It's so seamless. He did have it on his list. I wanted to double check that. And Sam Shot First says it's not out of the realm of possibility. Ex Machina won after all. That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
True.
Weird. That's weird to think about.
Chelsea Nico says, I loved The Creator. Okay, now we go down here. I made one last call. And what we got here was Mike Schindler, your co-host on Soderbergh 2828.
Yep, you got it.
It's the creator. He's doing this shit. What is his mind game? He did this last week.
Last week, he just goes, last week he said it's John Wick.
It's the.
Yeah, no, yeah.
He said it's John Wick.
Which is a movie that came out 10 years ago. Right? We assumed he meant John Wick Chapter 4.
Yeah. So it's the creator, I guess. That's best visual effects. Sam shot first, comes back. Once again, what's this, his fifth message? And I think he makes a joke this time. He says Quantumania, I believe he means Ant-Man Quantumania, for being the final straw leading to Marvel VFX folks to unionize. Hey, we can all like that.
Yes.
Very true. Then Matt says the creator. So thanks, Matt.
Thank you,
now,
the real Metsy.
That is our Discord, the Talk Film Society Discord. But I also like to ask this other Discord I'm in.
Oh, wait, I thought you weren't going to do this anymore.
That was because last week I only got one response, but I tried it one more time, and I got multiple responses. So look, so Marcelo.
Also keep in mind, I wanted to make this a short episode. So
look, it'll go fast. But at first, I have to ask Brian and Thomas: have either of you heard of the podcast Hollywood Handbook?
Yes,
Simple
I believe
yes
I have.
Wow. Okay, I'm shocked. All right, well, it's my favorite podcast. So I asked people there. Lexi Zananetti, she comes in. She says, Godzilla -1, that's the winner. All right. Stookman. Stookman says, best visual FX. Best visual VFX. The Killer. D&D Honor Among Thieves. I believe that's Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves. He puts winner by that one, but he listed it second. That's interesting. Godzilla -1. Poor Things, Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning Part 1, an honorable mention. Hey, honorable mention, Tommy, When Evil Lurks, the axe scene.
Hell yeah.
Oh, nice.
And then he posts, and then, talk about The Killer, because that's interesting.
Yeah, I made a noise because I'm like, oh, that's right, The Killer. You know, that's an honorable, I'll put that as an honorable mention for me because the effects work there is so great. I mean, I'm sure there are hundreds of shots in that movie that you wouldn't even know, are visual effects shots.
That's the weird thing with a Fincher movie, though, is that like every time I watch a Fincher movie, I always take for granted that 90% of these shots are CG assisted heavily.
I was watching a bit of the Killer VFX reel, and it's kind of insane, how much visual effects is in that movie, and how great it looks, which is just, I don't know, it's that Fincher touch.
So good call out. I forget who said that, but good job.
Stookman.
Thank you, Stookman.
Okay.
Oh, Stookman, great name, by the way.
Upcoming host. Host of the podcast, Best Little Horror House in Philly, which you can find my episode where I guested on that, talking about Donnie Darko. His name is George. His screen name here is Edgar Allan Iverson. Best VFX, he says. Shin Kamen Rider, winner. Godzilla -1. Tight race, he says. Julius Pleaser, he says that scene in D&D, I believe he means Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves, when Chris Pine's face starts melting, really stands out to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Richard Gere Solid. They say honorable mention Jawan with a question mark. So if anybody knows what that is,
not off the top of my head, no.
I think I've heard of it, but I know nothing about it.
I think that might be the end of this. So, thank you to the Hollywood Handbook.
Thank you to that Discord, which, how do you get into that Discord, Siobhan?
Figure it out.
Okay, all right. So, that was Best Visual Effects, our picks. Now, let's race through these final two segments. The Gold Derby game. All right. So this is the part of the show where usually I quiz Siobhan on the Gold Derby rankings. I say, hey, Siobhan, try to name the top 5, in whatever category we're doing. For those who don't know, the Gold Derby website is filled with people who are, some of them are experts, so-called experts. Some of them are just some randos who they're like, hey, this is going to win the Oscar. This is going to get nominated. And they rank it out from one being the most probable to whatever. Anyway, we're going to do something different because we have guests on the show. It's going to be a little bit more involved because we're not only doing best visual effects. We're doing 2 other categories, which I don't think we'll cover on this show.
What?
Oh, geez.
So we're going to start with best costume design.
All
right.
Fuck, man.
So here are the rules. So I'm going to go with, I did write this down. Let's go with Brian first. So Brian and
those are the rules.
Just wait for the rules. Rule number 1, Brian goes first. Rule number 2, you're going to guess. You're going to want to guess the higher ranked films in this category according to Gold Derby. If you get the number 1, you're going to get 5 points. You get the number 2, 4 points. Until, number 5, 1 point. Beyond that, you get no points. So, for best costume design, I'm going to go to you first. Going to go to you first, Brian. Take a wild guess. Can you name one of the movies in the top 5? And again, if you get the number 1, you get 5 points, etc. Brian?
And these are from 2023?
Yes,
correct?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, just to clarify, these are the 2023 picks. So, yes. That's something that I don't think we've ever said before. we could have been doing like the 2015 picks, but no, these are the 2023 picks. Go. So, Brian, take a stab.
Best costume design.
Design.
I'm going to say Poor Things.
Poor Things. That comes in at number 2. So
nice.
you get 4 points. All right.
Wow.
Hell yeah. Okay, I'll take it.
Thomas, your turn.
Barbie.
Ooh, Barbie. That's the number 1. You get 5 points. All right. Siobhan?
Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer is at number 7.
Fuck.
So you get 0 points.
Kill myself.
This is just a game. This means nothing.
It's not even what I want to say. I want to say something else, and I changed my mind.
So we still have number 4 and number
3 on the board.
Yeah, number 1's been said. Number 2 has been said. So we have 3, 4, and 5. Let's go back to Brian. Take another guess.
Killers of the Flower Moon.
Ooh, you got number 3.
Hell yeah.
3. All right. Thomas.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3?
Well, that is number 14.
Damn.
Yeah. So that's a goose egg for you in the second round. Siobhan?
What I wanted to say last time and stopped myself from saying was Maestro.
Maestro, number 8.
Even worse than Oppenheimer.
Sorry.
Okay, Brian, you're the king of this. Say the other 2.
Fuck. Priscilla.
Ooh,
Holy
number
shit,
9. That's a goose
That's
egg.
insane.
Thomas?
The streak is over. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse?
Again, this is costume design.
Oh, sorry, Jesus. My bad.
I'm going to scroll.
I forgot what.
Yeah, did I say that?
Sorry.
Costume design.
No, you did. I fucked up.
Not to make funny. I'm just saying I hopefully covered my bases. Siobhan?
No,
Costume design.
Costume design. Shit, I just had one in my head. But it looks like it's gone. So how about Ferrari?
Ooh, Ferrari. No, that is somewhere on this list. I don't know. I don't even know where it is.
Awesome. You can't even find it. It's
Can't
so
even
deep
find
in the
it. It's so deep. I scrolled all the way to the bottom. I don't see it. So no, that's a goose egg. So that's it. Costume design done.
What were the other ones that we didn't get?
I was just going to say that. So Barbie number 1, Poor Things number 2, Killers number 3, number 4, The Color Purple, number 5, Wonka.
I keep forgetting the color purple
of course,
exists.
Wonka.
Yeah.
That's a thing with this thing. The color purple is always there, and I forget that movie exists and never say it.
So that was costume design. Let's go to best production design.
Wonka's a good one.
Production
design. Okay,
Production design.
This is one of my favorite categories. Glad we're not doing an episode on it.
I mean, we still could, but we still got to do the big ones. I mean, we'll talk about it off mic, Siobhan. And also, I'm doing this because the Oscar nominations are happening semi-soon in 2 weeks. So this game will be a lot different later. Okay, because we'll know the nominees. Best production design. We're going to start with Thomas first. Best production design. Take a wild swing.
I'll guess Barbie again. That was the last time I was remotely right.
Barbie.
So we'll do that.
Number 1, 5 points. Okay, Siobhan, you're
I have a strategy, everybody.
He failed me last time, but he won't fail me this time.
Oppenheimer, number 3, 3 points.
Alrighty.
Okay, Brian.
Poor Things.
Poor Things, number 2, 4 points. Nice. Wow, this is going great. Everybody's winning.
We love that.
Thomas, you're next.
Killers of the Flower Moon?
Yes, number 4, 2 points. Siobhan, one more on the board. Can you get this number 5?
The Color Purple.
You got it! Holy shit. We just ran the board there. Wow, best production design. Finally.
Good job, all three of us.
Finally, best visual effects, the thing we're here for. Now, I'll say this. There's a short list, so there are 10 here, but we're going to still play the same game. Name the top 5. So, who's first? Siobhan.
Barbie.
Barbie is not on the short list for best visual effects. That is crazy. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Brian, you're next.
Well, I'll go with the safe bet here. The Creator.
Ooh, The Creator, number 2. You get 4 points. 4 points for Brian. Thomas?
Guardians Volume 3.
Guardians Volume 3 is number 5. Oh, sorry. Number 1, you get 5 points.
Big difference. Big difference.
Strike that. Reverse it. Yes.
Sorry. Yeah, it's the number 1 pick. You get 5 points. Siobhan, you're next.
Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves.
Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves is not on the short list.
Fucking wild.
I'm not. Hey, proof I'm not looking at the short list.
Yeah,
okay?
You're not cheating. So that's good. Brian, you're next.
Godzilla -1.
That is number 4.
Oh,
So you
wow,
get
really?
2 points. Yep, that's on the short list. Thomas, you're next.
Ant-Man Quantumania.
Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania is not on the short list.
I thought it was on the short list.
Apparently it's not. It's not on here. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you,
It was
buddy.
the other dumb ones. It was the other dumb ones.
Yeah, I'm not going to say what you might be referring to, but there are dumb ones on this list. Siobhan, you're up next.
Wonka.
Wonka is not on the short list. 0-0-0, Siobhan, in this round. I apologize for you and for your family. But Brian, you're next.
I'm gonna think of a weird one I just thought of. Napoleon?
Ooh, Napoleon, number 7. It is on the short list, but number 7. Finally, this is it. Thomas, your turn.
Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1.
It is on the list, but it is number 8. Number 8. All right, so let's go through this list. So number 1, Guardians, Volume 3. Number 2, The Creator. Number 3, Poor Things. Number 4, Godzilla Minus One. Number 5, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
I was wondering about that one. I almost said it.
And
I would have said it if there were one more round.
The rest of the short list is as follows: Society of the Snow, Napoleon,
What?
Mission. Excuse me. What did you say?
Society of the Snow. What?
Society of the Snow. We've had this conversation before in the show, Siobhan.
Okay, then don't do it again.
No. It's a Netflix movie about that plane crash that happened in the Alps, I think.
The Alive one, right?
Yeah, The Alive. They remade Alive. The director of one of the Jurassic World movies. I forget his name.
Yeah, it's J.A. Bayona.
Yes, thank you.
He made The Impossible, right?
Yeah, yes. And it's on Netflix now. So, and from what I've heard, make sure to not watch the dubbed version, because I think that's that's a default version that pops up on Netflix. Just switch it over to the foreign language that's supposed to be in. So that's Society of the Snow. That's number 6. Number 7, Napoleon. Number 8, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. Number 9, this is the dumb one, in my opinion, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. And
P.U.
The single worst part of that fucking movie.
I don't like that movie because of that reason. And number 10, a movie I have not seen, but it's on here. And Siobhan, you've seen it. It's on your list. Let's say it together.
Oh, Rogue Moon.
Rebel Moon. Let's try it again. Rebel Moon. Part
1. A Child of Fire.
A Child of Fire. So those are your top 10. That was the Gold Derby game. Now I'm gonna Siobhan. Here's the part of the show where I'm gonna hand it to you, and you can ask the guests whatever you want, because I'm gonna try to tabulate the points here and get a winner. So go ahead.
Okay, Brian, you love Radiohead. Thomas, do you like any bands?
I like bands, and I like music by bands.
You got any good? You got anyone in particular? What's your favorite band?
I've been listening to a lot to Electric Light Orchestra because I recently watched Xanadu.
ELO. Marcelo's a fan.
I love ELO. I have that Xanadu soundtrack. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Almost
Sick.
done.
Brian, you play video games, right? What do you got going right now?
What have I been doing? I've been playing. I've been back in Elden Ring. Been playing Elden Ring a lot.
Ooh.
Getting my ass kicked in that game.
Okay. I have the results.
True gamer answer.
Oh,
And this is interesting. And I have to come up with something real quick here because we have a tie. Here are the results. In third place, not part of the tie, Siobhan with 4 points.
Yeah.
Again, sorry to you, sorry to your family. Tied for number 1, Brian and Thomas with 17 points each.
wow.
Hold on, now I gotta think of a tiebreaker. Siobhan, ask him another question.
Yeah. So, well, I've asked about video games. I've asked about music. Y'all any read books?
I'm listening to the audiobook for the Opposable Thumbs, the Matt Singer book about Siskel and Ebert. Pretty good book so far. Very enjoyable.
Brian?
I've just started Dune again. I am hoping to actually read it this time in preparation for Dune Part 2. And also pretty good. Very, very weird.
Very cool. Very cool. Both movie answers. I would expect that from movie guys.
What? What are the tells?
What's your favorite thing about leather? Like, what do you like about it so much?
All right, I've got the tiebreaker.
Okay.
So I wanted a category that is maybe a little bit more
Into leather. Leather
difficult. Okay. This category I think is a little bit harder to pick the number 1 because I think the rest were kind of a little bit obvious. But I'm going with best original screenplay. Okay.
Oh shit.
Well, okay. So I picked a good one then. Why don't we, since Brian started this whole thing, let's go to Thomas first. Okay, this is Sudden Death.
Oh,
Thomas, best original screenplay. Same rules apply. There's a top 5. Can you name the top 1?
May, December?
May, December is number 4. So you get 2 points. Brian?
Okay.
can you name one of the top 3 to take this home for the win?
I'm pretty sure this is an original screenplay. The Holdovers?
Buddy, it is original and is number 1. You get 5 points. You win the game.
Oh! Yes.
Wow.
I'd like to thank Paul Giamatti and Dominic Sessa.
And Teaches. Don't forget Teaches.
Wow, what a thrilling game, if I say so myself. That's maybe the best Gold Derby game we've ever played, Siobhan.
Yeah, it became a game, and that was actually really fun.
Unlike usual when you hate it.
So that's a good note to I'm going to take that note and utilize it for the next episode, Siobhan. You want to play a game and have fun. Is that right?
I want to play a game.
Oh no. Listen to the commentaries of all the Saw movies now on Patreon. All right. We've reached the final segment. Let's get through this and go home. Who do we think is going to win best visual effects at the Oscars? Now, I went through the 10 eligible films. Siobhan, why don't we just go with you first? What do you think is going to win?
What's going to win best VFX?
Yeah.
Whatever the number 1 was.
Which was?
Yes.
No, come on. Name the number 1. We're just going to play the Gold Derby game again. What's the number 1?
Yeah, let's go. Round 2.
We're going to keep playing.
Well, okay. The number 1 was Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. But do you think that's going to win?
Oh, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, so Guardians 3 is your pick. Thomas, you want to...
Poor Things.
Oh, wait, what's your pick? I'm writing it down seriously.
Poor Things.
Poor Things? Okay, you think Poor Things is going to win. Thomas, what do you think is going to win?
You know, I hate to go against the grain of that particular pick. I'm going to say Godzilla -1.
Oh.
I think they're going to make the thing work.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a surprise one. Because visual effects, you can have the surprise ones.
Yeah, good point. I forget who mentioned it, but as a reminder, Ex Machina won 1 year. And I think that was the underdog. I don't think many people expected that one.
In the year where a Star Wars movie, the first one of those that when they came back was nominated.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Wow. Brian, what do you think is going to win?
I'm going to pick a different one just to be different. I'm going to say Oppenheimer because I think it's going to sweep like all of those technical awards.
Now, if Oppenheimer wins Best Visual Effects, I'm going to give you $1,000.
Because it wasn't on the short list.
It wasn't on the short list.
Oh, is it not? Oh, fuck. You know what? I don't care. I still think.
Okay, I'm
still
writing
pulling
that down
for
for
it.
you. Oppenheimer somehow
Write-in ballots.
pulls it out.
Brian's going to have the write-in campaign.
And I'll say I'll be different, and I'll say kind of similar to that Ex Machina thing. The creator, I think it is so well done in regards to just the scale of it, how much they pulled, how they pulled off the epic scale of the sci-fi movie. As far as I know, not that expensive compared to other blockbusters.
No, yeah.
So yeah, I'll go with the creator. I think it'll be that. So that's it. That's who we think is going to win the Oscar for Best Visual Effects. Again, this is a scientific show. Take this to the bank. We are experts. Plugs. First off, Thomas, Bryan, thank you. It's. I tried to make this as short as possible, but this is now just an average episode. This is as long as we go. But thank you for hanging in there. Plugs. Before we go, where can the people find you if you wish to be found? We do this just especially for guests. We never do this on the show, but we'll make an exception here. Brian, why don't you go first?
Well, of course, you can listen to Thomas and I's podcast, Cinema to the Letter, of course. But you can also find me on Twitter at BRYANDRADE 3. I'm also on Letterboxd, and yeah, that's pretty much the extent of my social media.
Fair enough. I think that's a good move too. Try to keep it at a minimum. We are on our phones and we're addicts as a society. Thomas, what about you?
Well, you can find me being an addict on my phone or various other devices via my social media platforms. I'm at Not the Who's Tommy. Usually I'm on either Twitter, Blue Sky, or Letterboxd a lot, as you heard earlier for my logging story 3 years ago when we started this. And Also, just, Cinema to the Letter in general. We're on Talk Film Society podcast network, great network to be on. And we make, 6-episode miniseries where we have a specific topic. We'll just say that, in a couple of days after this comes out, we'll have our bonus episode that we start every season off with, where we're going to announce our lineup. At least announce the actual concept of season 4 is one Oscar. Because, we're in the Oscar season, and we decide we have, a classic, an indie, a new, an egregious masterpiece, and an atypical film that all at least won one Oscar. It's an interesting group of movies, and you can also support us on our Patreon, where it's patreon.com/cinema2letter, which is also where we're on every other social media platform, cinema2letter. But on the Patreon, for just $1, you get bonus podcasts. Like Brian and I are going to record the Beekeeper Patreon review in a second, and this is coming out the actual day that movie's come out, and I really want to firmly say this much. See The Beekeeper.
Oh, man.
The Beekeeper is an amazing, the masterpiece of a January movie.
Okay.
That's my take on it.
I'm in.
And we'll be talking about it, for that $1, you get to hear us, especially talking spoilers, because this movie goes to places you don't even know, man. We're through the looking glass now that we've seen The Beekeeper. It's crazy. See that. And then become a patron. You can listen to our audio review, and you can also, we'll be doing a retrospective on The Critic as our big bonus episode of January, which Brian's never seen before. Except for the A Star Is Born episode of The Simpsons, which we'll also talk about on that.
Exciting. Great. God, again, thanks, both of you, for being on. Fun as always. Now I turn to...
Our pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I turn to Siobhan, my co-host of this show, as we wrap this up. Siobhan, any last words?
Thank you to the Leather Boys for very graciously giving us your time.
Yes.
We were wearing our leather. We didn't mention that. We are completely in leather.
Absolutely.
Brian and I.
From head to toe.
Yes.
And Marcelo.
Yep.
Thanks for doing this every week. Hope we do this again.
I hope so too. Honestly, I hope so. I enjoy doing this every week. Sure, I complain about how long it is only because I have to edit these episodes, but overall, it's fun to do it. Let's keep doing it. We have an episode to do next week. We have to decide the movie we're going to watch. We'll talk about that off mic. We won't make any promises as to what it'll be right now because I've learned my lesson. I always have to edit those out of the show. Those promises. Never make promises. That's rule number 1 with podcasting. All right. Siobhan, thank you. Thomas, thank you. Brian, thank you. And now for my signature catchphrase. See you at the movies. Nope, never say that. All right, bye.